Welcome to the Insomnia Project. Sit back, relax, and listen as we have a calm conversation about the mundane. This show is designed for you to just listen and drift off. I'm your host, Marco Timpano.
I'm Amanda Barker, and as Marco said, this is meant you can just tag along for the journey and you can stay connected. Sometimes trying to disassociate or disconnect is not what gets you there. Sometimes what gets you there is actually just being along for the ride. So we welcome you along for the ride. And just like you're in the cool back seat of a wind-filled car on a very relaxing road trip, you can drift off and you have full permission to just close your eyes and be a passenger.
Amazing. Amanda, I want to thank our listeners who listen on Spotify who have posted reviews. I really appreciate that. I know we've been asking for that. And of course, it helps us. It really helps the podcast and to keep us on. So I'm grateful.
I'm grateful too. Do you like it when I give you notes, when I mouth notes to you?
Yeah, Amanda was mouthing notes to me.
No, do you like it or do you not?
No, I don't mind it at all.
You don't
actually.
mind it? Okay.
No, it's helpful because...
You and I are from feedback cultures.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you and I have had a long education, a lifelong education in the culture of feedback. And not everybody has that.
You know what it is too? I studied radio and television broadcasting. And so when you're on air talent, I said that kind of weird, but when you're, let's say doing the news, mm-hmm. Your stage director is giving you signals with their hands.
In real time.
I
see.
You know.
So just so you're wondering, now you're like, wait, what signals? I was telling him to slow down. Because sometimes if he's had an extra espresso, a little too much coffee, or just whatever, we're wound up from various things, as we all can be. It's not even that you're going too fast. It's just that our energies might not match.
True.
And I think we just try to find that symbiotic match.
Now, Amanda, you mentioned feedback. Speaking of feedback, we received quite a bit.
Oh, yeah?
Based on last week's
episode. Well, and now here I am plugging that we're both these learned people from cultures of feedback. So I guess I better brace myself for some.
So I did a poll on Instagram to see if I should dig up the dahlia bulbs in the fall or keep them planted.
So just a reminder, if you weren't with us last week, listen, you can do a deep dahlia dive. But the question was, he said that he had to he got these dahlia bulbs. Dahlia is obviously beautiful flowering plant that we get that flowers sort of late August usually. And it's the final plant by the way, in my schedule of flowering.
Oh.
Like when I first moved here into this property with you, I really tried to plant for like every 2 weeks of summer. So I started, do you want me to walk you through?
Yeah, but I should just...
but we'll continue the dahlia? Okay.
No, let our listeners know we have a literal postage stamp size.
I know, we have nothing. It sounds like we have these spacious English gardens. Nothing could be further from the truth.
There's a fire hydrant that takes up a significant amount of space. Yeah. And we have
just to give you an idea, if the fire hydrant takes up a significant amount of space, you can kind of gauge how much space we're talking about here.
We have a rather large, beautiful lilac tree that takes up the majority of the space.
Well, no, but that's not in the okay. So here's my question. Okay. Do you want to continue on about the poll, and then I'll tell you about the schedule of gardening?
No, tell us about the schedule of gardening, and then I have the poll results for you.
God.
Okay?
Dangle that carrot.
Well, I can just tell you the poll results were as follows.
So anyway, he said to me, the thing about the dahlias is I'm going to have to dig up those bulbs every year. And I said, I don't think that's true because there are so many houses that have dahlias. I have a hard time believing that all those families and all those people in those apartment buildings and businesses and all these places are all going, got to dig up our dahlia bulbs, like maybe some, but I doubt most are.
80% of our followers on Instagram said, do not dig them up, leave them.
Okay.
However, one of our listeners, I'm just going to say the first name, Bob, who's awesome, says dahlias are tubers, so they're not bulbs. I've been calling them bulbs.
Oh. I did. What's the difference between a tuber and a bulb?
Okay, so I'll continue. So a bulb is kind of bulbous. A tuber is kind of long.
Tuberous.
Tuberous. It's kind of like a sweet potato, let's say.
Okay.
So
And a bulb is round. It's just the size. So it's just the shape that determines tuber versus bulb?
No, but that's a good start.
Oh my God. That would be my ultimate like rep hockey teams, like improv tubers versus bulbs.
And I was thinking Deep Dahlia Dives would be a great name for an album, and you just said that.
Oh, or a drag queen.
Deep Dahlia Dives, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, or a dive, or like a diner.
Or a drag queen who scuba dives.
Or dresses in flowers.
Yeah, okay. So back to Bob says, dahlias are tubers, not bulbs. So digging them up both prevents rot and you end up with a harvest of more tubers when you dig them up. So you'll have more dahlias the following year when you plant them.
So wait, so are we digging? Bob says to dig, everyone else says to leave?
Bob says to dig.
Okay.
The majority of our followers said to leave them in the ground.
Okay. What do you say? What say you, Mr. Dahlia?
I might dig up half and leave half and see what happens the following year.
Okay.
So, in other words, I'll sit on the fence, on the dahlia fence.
That's very diplomatic of you.
Now tell us about how you planted flowers so they would bloom every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And our tulips just bloomed, and I couldn't be happier.
I know, me too. And those I planted, I'm not kidding, 17, 18 years ago now. So, which is crazy. And they're finally tall. When I first planted them, they were short little tulips, and I was like, I just want the long tulips everyone else has. And I realized long tulips come in time, dear Amanda of 20 years ago. Well, I will tell you, when I first moved in here, I was just planting those bulbs. And so here's my little schedule that I planted. Crocuses.
Love crocuses.
Followed by daffodils, which never come up, and the squirrels want to eat them. And every year I plant more, and we get a lot of leaves, but we don't get a lot of actual daffodil head like flowers. Just a promise of a daffodil, but not a delivery of a daffodil.
A whisper of a daffodil.
Anyway, but that was the next one, daffodils, then tulips. And yes, tulips and daffodils kind of show up at the same time. But usually the tulips are a little later. This year, I don't know.
We had these beautiful tulips from Holland that a friend brought us back.
I know. You talked about this before on the podcast. I know.
I missed them because
they got dug up.
They got dug up. Anyways.
Listen, they were with us and then they were gone.
Yep.
Like a good song. Anyway, so again, crocuses, daffodils, tulips. And then let me think. After the tulips, I believe, are the lilacs, which were there before I came and before you came. The most gorgeous lilac tree. We do nothing to make it as fabulous as it is, but we love it in its majesty. And
there's a woman who comes by who wants to take some of the daffodils.
Yeah, it's the hot property.
The lilacs, I should say. Yeah.
It's the hot property of May. Everybody wants to clip our lilacs. But you know what? Sometimes you give of your lilacs freely, and sometimes you don't. Anyhow, lilacs. Then after the lilacs are the peonies.
Love peonies.
That was my stomach, I think, making a little noise.
Okay.
So if you heard it, I apologize. You weren't hearing things. That was me. I love the peonies, and they're really coming up this year. Do you notice that?
I'm so happy.
They've had a rough go.
They have, but they're wonderful.
They've been moved so many times.
I love peonies for many reasons, and one of them is it's a great heirloom plant too. Because I think I have my mom's or my grandmother's in our front.
I know. There's always a debate of who has whose. Mm-hmm. I think your sister has your grandmother's, and we have your mother's.
There you go.
I think that's the deal. So peonies, which again I didn't plant. They came from your mother when she moved out of her house into her condo. And then after the peonies are the lilies. We get into tiger lilies, day lilies. I had tiger lilies. I don't think they came up.
Not my favorite.
Yeah, they don't have to be.
Yeah, that's fair. We also have a odd hyacinth that will bloom every once.
The hyacinth comes around the tulips, sometimes before, maybe a little after. If I ever buy a bulbed plant in a pot, then I enjoy it in its little, however I bought it from the grocery store, in its little, Easter basket or whatever it was that
Sure.
year. And then I throw it in the ground once it's done and say, come on up next year. Let's do this every year. And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. I haven't done that in a while though. So yeah, the hyacinth shows up somewhere in there, one or two. I planted a few, but only one. They're pretty choked out by the tulips because I forgot tulips were there, I think, when I planted it. And so then, yeah, we get the daylilies, those big bushely things that have those, and they don't last very long. Dale calls them ditch lilies.
Because they're
Dale.
often found in
ditches.
Yes.
But I call them daylilies. Like you get them for a day. Yellow and orange. Ours, I think, are mostly yellow. They're really big, bright, and they're really July feeling, late June, early July, that just bright yellow. So we get the daylilies. I don't think we have tiger lilies anymore. Then the irises come.
The irises.
Now, our irises have had a rough go too, and I don't know if they're still coming up. But anyway, they're meant to. And then after irises, you get into some deep summer, right? So maybe some gladiolas in there. I think we tried to get.
We tried, but I don't think they ever
Yeah,
came. I planted them too far, I think.
Yeah, we did try a few times with gladiolas.
I think they need a lot of sun because they're an Australian flower, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
And I
didn't know
think it's the national flower of
I
Australia.
also think you and I, by that point in the summer, are kind of like, kids, you're on your own. I think we leave and we go off and go north or
It's
whatever.
true.
And
It's
we're kind of
true.
like, well, we had it. Like right now, we're all excited because flowers are new for us. But by the time we hit July, we're like, meh, whatever shows up, shows up. I feel like there's one more in July. And then we get into the August. So the sedums come in August. Now we'll have dahlias. And that was what I was saying. Dahlias were kind of the last in the summer cycle. Is there anything else we have for fall? Oh, mums.
Mums.
I usually have
yeah.
mums. And mums, again, I'll buy a bunch and then I'll just throw them once they're all done indoors. They've served their little life. I'll just replant those roots in the ground, cut them, but just plant the roots and hope for the best. And sometimes they come back and sometimes they don't. And we usually end with some mums, I think.
Yeah, I think we end with mums.
Yeah, they're the grand finale.
And then I'll put a pumpkin out on
Little whisper of fall.
on
mums.
our front porch.
And then it
Add some-
snows, and then we try to escape the winter as much as we can, and then we do it all over again.
I also received a message from one of our listeners about the heart emojis.
Okay.
Do you remember the purple heart?
And we had a big discussion, and I said that's for bravery, and you said nope.
It wasn't even about that. It was, remember how it said something like BTS?
Oh, yeah.
So it was about the band.
Okay.
The band. They're called the Purple Army, I guess.
Okay.
And I don't have it in front of me. I Heart Purple or I Purple Heart.
Okay.
It is reference to the band.
They like purple, those guys? Like, why are they called the Purple Army?
I didn't ask, and I'll be honest with you, it doesn't cross my mind. So
No?
no.
You didn't spend your day going, is it because BTS likes purple? Does purple have some sort of significance to their music?
See, Amanda
or cultural heritage?
Amanda will pose these questions, then I will get the emails and I'll get the messages and I have to remember them.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I lived in Korea. Purple is royal, even in Korea. I mean, red is royal. I don't know. No, I can't draw lines that aren't there. I don't know.
Well, there you go. Those were messages from our listeners. We got quite a few responses. I'm posting a lot on Instagram, and I'm really trying
and that's all me. Just so you know, all that no, it's all Marco. He's doing an amazing job, and this is what we have to do because we're trying to make this content for you.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make more. We want it to be accessible, and you know the ways to make it accessible, and that's just to like the stuff, follow the stuff, subscribe on YouTube, all that good stuff.
We actually have a new Patreon listener, so we just got today, so we need to do a Patreon episode for this month.
Okay.
Also, Amanda.
Just for them?
No,
what about all the other Patreon
for all
listeners?
of them, for everyone. But
they're like, hey, we were here the whole time.
For everyone who has Patreon.
Should we shout them out?
Maybe
or on the episode?
Maybe we will. So we talked about plants, and one of the suggestions from our listeners for episodes was plants and gardening.
Okay.
So
Well,
now
I did that.
But yeah, you did. I guess that is
I
gardening.
mean, I just walked you through my
I was thinking gardening like
fruits and
fruits
veg.
and veg. Yeah.
I mean, we don't have this. Well, I shouldn't say we don't have the space.
So I have a little
We don't have
confession.
the space in this house.
I have a
Yeah.
confession to make.
Oh.
Not for anything you would know. So when I was
It's a
little,
marriage.
when
marriage
I was
confession.
little,
Okay.
about 12 years old, so my father planted a cherry tree in our backyard,
Okay.
and it had a lot of beautiful leaves.
Okay.
And do you remember the television show Name That Tune?
Of course.
So they used to do a thing where, I don't know, they would pluck money off a tree,
Oh.
something like this. I was very little when they used to do that on the episode.
Okay.
Well, as a kid, I saw the cherry tree and I couldn't resist. I plucked all the leaves off the cherry tree because I saw.
Because you saw them doing it on the TV, plucking
Yeah,
all the money.
yeah.
Did you think
I'm-
the leaves were money?
No, I just wanted to know what that felt like. I wasn't 12. I was probably like 8. If I
You were
think about it.
little.
Yeah, I was little. And it just looked so exciting on the game show.
Okay. But
That
that's very fine to pluck leaves off a tree.
No.
Was your dad mad?
No, he wasn't actually.
Oh.
Uh,
It's a very cute thing to
yeah.
do.
And then that cherry tree, or we replaced that cherry tree with one where...
Because they were like, this cherry tree just can't grow a leaf. I don't know what's going on. Midnight, little Marco was going out,
I think,
pulling all the leaves off with a little smile and then going back to bed.
I think my cousin saw me and told my folks what happened.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which one? Let me guess.
You know, which
Yeah.
cousin? So
Not one I know, actually.
no one you know.
Oh, one I know?
Yeah.
Older?
Yes.
Begins with D?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Begins with M?
Yes.
Oh.
So
Oh. All right. Well, there you go.
I think I mean that was a while ago. So
I thought it was your other cousin that begins with D.
no.
Yeah, but I've
No.
never met him, so I don't know.
There's a lot of cousins, I guess. that
Marco's a
begin-
lot of cousins.
Mhm. So I did that,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had a very big cherry tree in our backyard,
Mm-hmm.
and I love cherries because of that tree. I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
love it. That's great.
Mhm.
I remember my mom had an apple tree
Oh, yum.
that we got her an apple tree. Yeah, we got her an apple tree for Mother's Day. You know, we'd ask her, what do you want for Mother's Day? And then she'd always want a tree. And I always thought that was so boring. She'd be like, I want an apple tree. And we're like, okay, I'll go to the nursery and get Dad to get one for you. Like, it wasn't, as a child, an exciting gift to go get a tree for your mother, but that's what she wanted. So, I was watching, it was Arbor Day, by the way, in the States this past week.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and so I was watching a thing about Arbor Day and about trees in general, and a couple of things about trees. First off, forest bathing is a thing.
True.
Do you know anything about forest bathing?
You walk around barefoot in the forest and enjoy yourself.
I don't think you have to be barefoot, but I do. I don't know much. I know it's a Japanese practice, but my friend was telling me that there's a real part of that practice actually touching the trees.
Oh,
You know
okay.
when people say hug a tree and it's kind
Yes.
of become this trite, euphemism for whatever. There's something to that actually, where it's like you're feeling the vibrational energy of the living wood.
Love it.
And so forest bathing, it's not just walking in the woods.
It's touching, feeling.
And being around the vibrational energy of the wood. And I do think there's a lot to be said for that because, like wood, there's something so calming about wood and so grounding and I love wood.
Yeah.
Like I would love a house that was all wood.
Yeah, it's amazing how these natural elements have a temperature to them. Wood is warm, stone or marble is cold.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think of that. So I was watching that, and then, another thing that kind of came up was like the most hopeful thing in the world is to plant a tree,
Oh, yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think of that because my mom always, and Mother's Day is coming up, and she would always ask for trees and plants for Mother's Day. And I think about it now, they're still probably there at a house that we then moved out of,
Sure.
and we ended up moving out of the country. So, someone's enjoying those trees, I hope.
How do you feel about nurseries now? Because you didn't enjoy
I
going.
love going to nurseries.
Sure.
I get a little overwhelmed. I think because a nursery is like, I could spend so much money in a nursery.
Sure.
Like I just want to be like, I'll take that and that and that. And then you also kind of go, okay, well, what's actually realistically am I going to take care of here?
Right.
You know, but nurseries have that promise that, you know, that mist and that like fresh smell and just like all the greenery. There's something really awesome about a nursery. But when you're a kid, and that's a nursery, like even like a lush plant as a kid, but like a tree, like also think about it. We were getting like a sapling. Like it wasn't like a mature tree that like had fruit on it. It was like 3 sticks that you planted in the ground.
Sure.
Like, here's your mom's pear tree. Like, I guess, you know.
That's because you didn't figure out pluck the leaves. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's because I wasn't a little kid that's like, I know what I'll do. Pull all the leaves. How did you reach all the leaves on the cherry tree?
I think it was a little bit of a sapling type tree, like you're saying. Like
and you just pillaged it.
I just pulled the leaves off.
That's funny because you watch them do it on TV.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, the influence of Name That Tune. Nobody talks about the dark underbelly of Name That Tune.
And Amanda knows that I love game shows. It's a sort of secret passion of mine.
Well, Name That Tune was really popular when we were kids because I remember we used to watch Name That Tune all the time, and we had a pool, and we would play Name That Tune underwater.
Oh, wow.
And that was one of our favorite games, was to go underwater, and you had to sing a tune, which all sounded ridiculous underwater.
Sure.
So you'd be laughing a lot, and then you'd be like, what is it? And of course, the age that I am, the era that it was all Michael Jackson. Like it was pretty much everything from the Off the Wall album was sung under the water at my pool.
We, what was I going to say now? I can't remember.
Name That Tune and game shows.
Game shows, yeah. I love game shows.
You do still. Mm-hmm. Like you love, like right now Marco's going through a deep dive of Sale of the Century. Maybe explain that game show to everybody.
Okay, so what I was going to say, it just came to me, was the grand prize on Name That Tune was a Fiero. I think it's Pontiac Fiero, if you remember that car.
No.
It was a small car, and I thought it was
the main prize?
I thought it was the coolest thing.
I mean, it's a car. So.
I mean, look up the Fiero, and you'll see if it's cool. But yeah, so I just called the cable company, and I spent 3 hours on the phone with them.
Like recently, not as a child, checking.
No, recently, and I dealt with the cable company. And yes, we do have cable. We're one of the few people that still pay for cable. But
because we're old, hence the Off the Wall album reference.
So somehow I got another game show network included in the package that we've now reverted to. And I saw Sale of a Century was on it. And I was like, I used to watch this as a child. Clearly, I watched far too many game shows as a child. But it was
we all did. I mean, what isn't a game show's wholesome? It's fun.
Yeah.
You play along.
Sure. The host, Jim Perry.
Oh, wow. Okay. Didn't know that.
We watched it. He's 6'4".
Oh, the one we're watching right now.
Sale
I
of
thought
the
you
Century.
meant Name That Tune.
No, I can't remember the guy from Name That Tune.
Me neither.
Anyways, how Sale of the Century works is you're a contestant and you answer questions. And for every question you get right, you get $5.
There's 3 contestants, just so you know, you're competing. It's not just you.
You start with 25.
All 3 start with 25.
And if you get a question wrong, it subtracts $5.
Right.
At a certain point, a bell will go off, and whoever's in the lead can buy something which will be on sale.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the recent episodes I saw was like antique egg holders for soft-boiled eggs.
Oh my God.
Valued at
antique.
Yeah, they were
antique.
They sold
antiques on a game show?
Yeah, it was like a silver.
That's weird.
Yeah. I remember it because it was so unusual. So these antique soft-boiled egg holders.
So practical.
Valued at $1,800.
Oh my God. Back then.
You could bid $4 for it. It would take your lead down.
But look at all the good times with soft-boiled eggs you're going to have.
Right? So you as the contestant.
Antique, I mean, that's not a thing you want to buy. Like,
you've got to eat a lot of soft-boiled eggs.
Well, so they might have lead in it. Like,
no, it was silver.
No,
it was silver.
That's what they told a lot of people.
Well, it was
back
silver.
in the day. And then it's like, why did Auntie Anne go?
It was silver.
Okay, fine.
Anyways, they did not buy it.
All right.
So they kept their $4. And then you play along a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then ding, 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 another thing will go off.
Okay.
And you can buy a lady's wristwatch for $9.
Ladies' wristwatch is such an 80s term. Like, when was the last time you heard that?
And it's like
That's like saying smart slacks.
And it was like Navarre of Beverly Hills.
Apparently they were great in 1984.
They had the wristwatch with diamonds or gold or whatever that you could buy for $9.
Who doesn't want a hot ticket item? A wristwatch.
A wristwatch.
You could tell time and have a thing on your wrist.
And then I think one of my favorite thing was a exercise bicycle that had a television.
A black and white TV.
A black and white TV that was the size of a microwave.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah, because it was back in the day, welded onto it so you could watch black and white TV while you exercised. Then once that's done, there's the lightning round where you have lightning and you guess, and the person who has the most money then is the person who gets to decide, are you going to take the money you have and buy the Doom buggy for $120?
Didn't see that.
Or are you going to play again tomorrow,
build
build
are you
up
going
your
to come
pot?
back? I see. Are you going to cash out or are you going to keep coming back?
Yeah.
But if you come back, you don't just automatically, you have your money at the end of that game, but you have to win the whole game to get it, right?
You keep that $120, and if you get to $200, instead of the Doom buggy, you can now purchase the trip for two to Fiji or wherever it was that they were going back there then.
I think the one we saw was China. Here's the thing, Marco, here's the problem. Not the problem. The solution. I don't know. We watch this thing and then we do a deep dive on like, where are these contestants now?
Right.
That's what I find interesting. What was their life after this moment in time? And we found one and she lives in Florida. She's like retired. And I mean, they're older, most of them.
She won the grand prize. Like she went all the way.
Helene
Lowry.
Helene
if you're listening.
Lowy. Not Lowry, because we kept looking for Lowry. And then we finally realized he's saying Lowy.
If you know Helene Lowy, send her our regards.
And I believe she lives in like near West Palm Beach, Florida.
Okay.
Now. She's from New Jersey.
Please send her our regards.
But she now lives in West Palm.
And on that note, Amanda, we've come to the end of this episode.
I'm sure we did a while ago. It feels like we went on for a bit.
About a minute and a half. So
Okay.
We'll leave you with that lovely description of an old game show. And we appreciate you as listeners, and we hope you were able to listen and sleep.